In a hospital room, something strange happens sometimes. A person who's been anxious for days suddenly becomes calm. Their breathing softens. Their eyes drift past you, like they're focused on someone else. And the living whisper the same question every time. What are they seeing right before the end? Tonight, we're going to talk about the final 7 days of life and what Christians believe happens next. Not with fear, not with superstition, with honesty and hope. Before we begin, write one word in the comments, just one. What do you feel when you hear the phrase, the end of life? Fear, peace, grief, hope, curiosity, anger, numb. One word. And if you're watching because someone you love is dying, or because you recently lost someone, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not alone. Take one slow breath with me, in and out. Okay, let's begin. A careful note before we talk about 7 days. No one can guarantee exactly how someone's last week will unfold. Everybody is different. Every illness is different. Every story is unique. So think of this as a compassionate guide, not medical instruction. And when we shift into the Christian perspective, I'll keep it clear and respectful. Christians don't all agree on every detail about the afterlife, but there are core convictions that have shaped Christian hope for centuries. If you're here from any background, Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, or none at all, you're welcome here. Now, when people imagine the final week of life, they often picture drama. A big movie moment, a final speech, a tidy ending. But real life is often quieter than the movies. The final week is usually a gradual turning inward, a slow withdrawal from the outer world, and a movement towards something internal. The body begins to conserve energy. The senses change. The mind drifts. And strangely, love becomes more visible. Not achievements. Not arguments. Not status. Presence. Mercy. Forgiveness. And the simple miracle of a hand held until the end. Let me tell you a story. A man sat beside his mother's bed, night after night. She had stopped eating, barely drinking, and he was panicking, because in his mind, food meant life. He kept trying, small spoonfuls, sips of water. He begged, he pleaded. He felt like if he could just get her to eat, he could keep her here. Then a nurse took him aside and said something gentle but firm. This is normal. She's not starving. She's transitioning. You're not failing her. Now your job is comfort, not control. And something in him broke open. He stopped fighting the moment. He stopped trying to win against reality. And instead, he held her hand. He spoke softly. He told stories from childhood. He thanked her for the things she never thought mattered. Later, he said something I'll never forget. It felt like I finally understood love. Not as fixing, but as staying. That's what the final week teaches us. Now let's walk through the week. Not like a stopwatch, like a story. In the earlier part of the final week, many people eat less. Sometimes they stop eating completely. Not because they're giving up, but because the body is changing its priorities. Sleep increases, energy disappears, conversation becomes shorter. For caregivers, this can feel frightening, because feeding someone is how we show love. So when they stop eating, we feel helpless. If that's you, hear this. Love is not measured in calories. At this stage, comfort matters more than fixing. A cool cloth, lip balm, gentle music, dim lights, a calm voice, a familiar blanket, a quiet room. And here's something families don't always realize. Even when a person can't respond, they may still hear you. So, talk to them. Say their name. Tell a story. Speak gratitude. Speak love. If you're a Christian, this is a beautiful moment for a few familiar words. Not a long sermon, Not a performance, just something steady, something true. Even a single line can be a lighthouse. The Lord is my shepherd, I will not want. Even in the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. And if you're not religious, you can still do the same thing in your own language. I'm here. You're safe. You're loved. Thank you. As the days move on, some people become confused. They may speak in fragments. They may forget where they are. They may call someone by the wrong name. Some become restless. They reach at the air. They pull at blankets. They try to sit up, even when they're too weak. This can be heartbreaking, because you want a peaceful scene, and sometimes it looks anything but peaceful. If you're caring for someone in this stage, please don't blame yourself. Restlessness can be physical, pain, breathing difficulty, medication effects. The body is working hard, and sometimes the hardest part is not the symptoms. It's what the symptoms do to the family. People start whispering. What does it mean? Are they suffering? Did we do something wrong? Listen carefully. You didn't cause this. You can't control this. And you are not alone in this. From a Christian perspective, the end of life can carry spiritual weight. Not Hollywood horror, not superstition, but the human confrontation with truth, regret, fear, and surrender. This is where the Christian message becomes deeply practical. Christianity doesn't tell you to be brave by force. It tells you to be held by grace. Grace is what you receive when you can't achieve your way out. Grace is help you didn't earn, but desperately need. And sometimes the best prayer at a bedside is only 3 words. Lord, be near. If you're comfortable, say that quietly, even now. Lord, be near. Now we reach a phenomenon many families talk about. Some people experience a sudden rally, a burst of clarity. They wake up. Their eyes focus. They recognize faces. They speak clearly, sometimes for one final conversation. Not everyone experiences this, but when it happens, it can feel like a gift. Families often say, it was like they came back to say goodbye. And here's the danger, because the rally can look like recovery. And you want so badly to believe it's recovery. But often, it's a window, a final opening. Which means, if it happens, don't waste it on small talk. Don't waste it on awkward avoidance. Use it for what matters. Reconciliation. If you've waited to say something, this is the time. And if you don't know what to say, here are 4 sentences that matter more than you think. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. You don't need perfect words. You need real words. Let me tell you another story. A father had been drifting in and out for days. His family sat beside him, exhausted. They were ready for the long goodbye. Then, one afternoon, he opened his eyes wide. He looked straight at his son and said, clear as day, "Tell your sister, I'm sorry." That was it. No speech. No explanation. Just one sentence. His son called the sister immediately. She came. She cried. She held his hand and said, "I forgive you. I love you." And the room changed. Not because the sadness left, but because something heavy was lifted. The father closed his eyes again and never spoke another word. Years later, that son said, "People think the miracle was the rally, but the miracle was the mercy, the chance to make peace." That's what these moments can be. Sometimes the person who is dying is trying to protect the living. They may avoid serious conversation because they don't want to hurt you. So you can give them permission. It's okay. You can talk about it. You don't have to carry this alone. Now, before we go deeper into what Christians believe happens after death, let's pause for a second. If this film is helping you, please support the channel. Leave a like or subscribe, because it helps this reach people who truly need it. And here's another comment prompt. If you've ever been at someone's bedside and that moment changed you, write 3 words. I was there. Now, as the final day approaches, the room changes again. Breathing may become irregular. Long pauses, then a deep breath, then another pause. Hands and feet may cool. The person may sleep most of the time. For families, this is often the hardest part because you can feel the threshold. And this is where the Christian story speaks with unusual power. Christianity doesn't pretend death is easy. It doesn't call death fine. It calls death an enemy, a rupture, something deeply wrong. And yet, Christianity also says death has been confronted. Christians believe Jesus stepped into death and came out the other side. So the Christian doesn't stare at death alone. The Christian stares at death with a companion. Not because sadness disappears, but because despair is challenged. If your loved one is a believer, you may hear them speak about going home. You may see a calmness that doesn't match the situation. And if they're not a believer, you can still offer them peace without pressure. You can say, "You are safe. You are loved. I'm here with you." Sometimes that's the holiest sermon there is. Now we come to the question everyone asks, out loud or silently. What happens after the last breath? Different Christian traditions phrase it differently, but the core framework is consistent. First, life belongs to God. In Christian belief, you are not an accident. You are a person created, known, and loved. So at death, Christians believe the soul returns to God. Second, there is judgment. That word scares people because they picture a harsh courtroom. But in Christian theology, judgment is also revelation. A life fully seen in truth. Not just what you did, but what you loved, what you chose, what you clung to, who you became. And here's the heart of the Christian claim. Christians believe God's justice and God's mercy meet in Jesus. In other words, Christianity doesn't say, "Be perfect or else." It says, you can't save yourself, but you can be saved. Third, the final hope is resurrection. Not just a spirit floating away into a cloudy distance. Resurrection. Restored life in a restored creation. This is why Christian hope isn't escapism. It's restoration. Christians may debate the timing of certain details, but the center stays the same. Death is real, but it is not ultimate. Now, if you're thinking this sounds too good to be true, you're not alone. The earliest followers of Jesus thought the same thing, until they claimed they encountered the risen Christ. Christianity is not built on the idea that death is fine. It's built on the claim that death was defeated. Now let's talk about something many families experience, but don't always say out loud. Sometimes a dying person speaks to someone who isn't in the room. They might say, "My mom is here," or "I see my brother," or "They're waiting for me." How do Christians respond to that? With humility. Christians don't automatically label it supernatural. It may be medication, it may be brain chemistry, it may be memory blending with emotion. But Christians also don't mock it, because the border between life and death is mysterious. Here's the wise posture. Be gentle, be present, don't argue, don't panic, don't turn it into a show. If the person is comforted, let them be comforted. If they're afraid, bring peace. You can ask a simple question. Do you feel safe? Do you feel loved? And if you're a believer, you can pray quietly. Not loudly, not as a performance. Just quietly. God of mercy, be near. Because at the end of life, the goal is not to win an argument. The goal is peace. Now, if you are the one sitting in that room, you may feel something else too. You may feel guilt. Guilt that you're tired. Guilt that you're not saying the right things. Guilt that you sometimes want it to be over, because watching is agony. If that's you, listen. That doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. Grief is exhausting. Love is exhausting. And Christianity does not ask you to be a hero. It asks you to be faithful. Faithful in love. Faithful in presence. Faithful in mercy. And if you're watching this while caring for someone right now, I want to say this plainly. You don't have to carry the whole week alone. Ask for help. Take breaks. Drink water. Love is not proven by exhaustion. Love is proven by presence. Again and again. Now, I want to give you something practical. Something you can carry into a hospital room, or a living room, or a hospice center. If you're caring for someone in their last week, here are 5 gifts you can give that cost nothing and matter forever. The first gift is presence. Sit. Breathe. Hold their hand. Don't rush the room. You don't have to fill every silence. Silence can be love. The second gift is permission. Permission to rest. Permission to stop fighting. Permission to let go without feeling like they're abandoning you. This is hard because it feels like you're giving up. But it isn't giving up. It's love without grasping. You can say, it's okay to let go. It's okay to rest. I'll be okay. Even if you're not sure, you will be. Those words can be a profound mercy. The third gift is reconciliation. Ask gently if there's anyone they want to speak to. Offer a phone call. Offer a message. Offer forgiveness. And if there's unresolved conflict, don't force it with pressure. Offer it like an open door. Do you want to talk about anything? I'm here. No rush. The fourth gift is blessing. Speak words that cover them, not flattery. Blessing. Thank you for what you gave. You mattered to us. I'm grateful for you. Sometimes the dying need to hear that their life counted, that they weren't just a burden at the end. The fifth gift is prayer, in a way that fits. Short prayers, familiar words, a gentle psalm, a hymn. And if your loved one is Christian, you can also speak the words of comfort Jesus gave. Let not your heart be troubled. In my Father's house there is room, not as a debate, as comfort. If spiritual care is available, invite it. A pastor, a priest, a chaplain, a trusted Christian friend. Not to fix death, but to steady the soul. Now I want to address a question many people ask, especially in America. What if the person who's dying is afraid of judgment? This is where Christian teaching is often misunderstood. Some people think Christianity is basically this: try hard, be good, and maybe God will accept you. But historic Christianity says something different. It says you are loved before you are impressive. You are invited before you are perfect. Christians believe salvation is not earned like a paycheck. It's received like a gift. That's why, at the end of life, many Christians don't focus on accomplishments. They focus on mercy. That simple prayer, Lord have mercy, is not weakness. It's surrender. Now let me say something carefully. If you're watching and you're not sure what you believe, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to force yourself into religious language that doesn't feel real. But you can still do what is sacred. You can love someone well. You can be present. You can forgive. You can bless. You can speak peace. And Christians would say, God honors that. Because Christians believe God is not distant from human suffering, Christians believe God stepped into it. That's what the cross means. Not a symbol of try harder, a symbol of you are not alone. Now, we're nearing the end of this film. So let's pull back for the bigger picture. Christian hope is not based on denial. Christians bury their dead. Christians cry. Christians feel the same loss. But Christians claim there is a reason hope exists, even in a cemetery, because the central claim is not people are immortal. The claim is, Christ is risen. And if Christ is risen, then death is real, but not ultimate. That's why Christianity speaks of a good death. Not easy, not painless, but reconciled, forgiven, held, at peace with God and people. If you've ever sat at a bedside, you know this is true. The world's noise becomes irrelevant. The petty arguments don't matter. The status symbols don't matter. And the soul remembers what matters. Love, mercy, presence. Now let's end with something interactive, something personal. Answer this in the comments. What would you want your loved ones to hear from you if you only had 1 minute left? Just one sentence. I love you. I'm proud of you. Forgive me. Thank you. See you again. One sentence. If you want the next episode, I'll make it. The next one could be Heaven, Hell, and Judgment. What the Bible actually says without fear tactics. If you want that, comment the word next. And if you're in a season of grief, I want to end with a short blessing. If you're not religious, you can simply receive it as a moment of peace. Lord of mercy, be near to those who are losing someone. Give peace to the dying. Give strength to the living. And let love be stronger than fear. Amen. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next film.